Now, you'll remember in December, Hong Kong-owned pub group Australian Venue Co. backflipped on its decision to boycott the celebrations of Australia Day at more than 200 of its pubs following a public backlash. Well, now they've backflipped on the backflip, which I can't imagine is terribly good for one's back, calling January 26 just a long weekend. Indigenous leader Warren Mundine joins me now. Warren, you'd think they would have learnt their lesson the first time round. Didn't they see what happened to Woolworths last year?
Look, I just can't believe it. They just got a punch in the nose, and so they're going to stick their head up and get punched in the nose again. Look, I'm getting sick, like all Australians, I'm getting sick and tired of people telling us what we should celebrate and what we shouldn't celebrate. And we should be celebrating Australia Day. Now, I'm on public record as saying, I wanted to move the date so we could all celebrate together. But in the last 12 months I've realised is that these people don't want to celebrate Australia Day. It could be any day of the year, any day of the month, and they're not going to celebrate it. In fact, they're going to talk it. They just hate Australia. They just hate Australia. And I sit there and go, well, bugger yous. We've got a lot to celebrate in Australia, and it's not about Arthur Phillip or Captain Cook or anything like that, even though they play a role in it. It's about us. In the last 60, 70 years, we have taken this country into an incredible, amazing country. We're overcoming our history. But, 50% of Australia, over 50% of Australia is now owned by Aboriginal people. Isn't that something to celebrate? We in Menzies in '62 gave Aboriginal people full voting rights. Isn't that something to celebrate? In '67, the referendum, even though we were British subjects and Australian citizens, we were treated by the states and territories as second-class citizens. That referendum got rid of all the race laws in Australia. Isn't that something to celebrate? All the migrants who have come to Australia post-Second World War, escaping wars and oppression and bigotry and everything, to come to Australia and build an economic future for themselves and their children and grandchildren. Isn't that something to celebrate? We've got so much to celebrate here, and yet these people just want to hate.
And the point you made then about, the fact that you could change the date and it's not going to change their point of view, that is the point now. And it's the reason that you'll have these pro-Palestinian protesters join with the anti-Australia Day protesters on Sunday in Melbourne to go after Australia Day. Because it's not about the date. It's not about January 26. It's not about even colonisation as a concept. It's about Australia. They do not like that Australia exists as the country that it is. And you could change the date to anything, and it's not going to change what their fundamental problem is, and that is an issue with the West and Western values.
Yeah, one of the things I love about free speech is that people actually then out themselves. What are the pro-Palestinians having to do with protesting against Australia Day? For God's sake, you think there's enough trouble in Gaza and other places around the Middle East for them to protest about having to stick their their little finger into what's happening in Australia? Look, the whole thing is just a load of crap. Melbourne, you look at Melbourne, they're going to do protests and everything down there. It's become the Australian capital of protest. What we should be doing is bringing the country together. Look, I went to school in Auburn, in Sydney, multicultural area, Turks, Lebanese, Maltese, Italians, everyone, Africans, everyone was in that community. I went to school with 39 kids in my class and 39 different nationalities in my class. Yes, now and again we had a bit of a punch up in the schoolyard, but we all become mates. Here we are 30 years later, and I visit them in Brisbane and Canberra and Adelaide and every other place where they moved to and we're still mates today, and that should be celebrated. There's a lot of things we should be celebrating and saying what a wonderful country. If we're such a bad country, why are people risking their lives to get on rickety boats to come here? And why do millions of people want to come and live here? Is because we got multicultural Australia, we've got multi-ethnic groups, we've got multi-faith groups, we've got even atheists. We love our atheists, and we're all here working together to make this country a better country. and that's what we should be celebrating. You know, we're one of the most liberal democracies with individual freedoms and liberties and that, and opportunities. We should be celebrating that, and you know, these people, you know.
Correct.
I'm glad.
Sorry, Warren, we've run out of time. I've got to go to Paul, but you're 100% right, and thank you so much for joining me tonight.